Alright, let's make it super quick. How to survive. Well, straight off, you've got to choose out the 10 items that you get when you go through the tutorial. I would definitely go for more tools than food supplies. The backpack's handy, yes, but you will be able to make another one pretty easily, although it doesn't have as much space. I actually chose the knife and the spear. I reckon the knife and the axe is probably the best shout. You will have to get a ton of stones and you'll be using them a lot to repair some stuff as well, and it just seems like it's the one thing you run out of a lot, to go ahead and cut down bushes and flowers and stuff like that, as well as carcasses. So the iron knife actually lasts a long time, as does the axe. Now I have chosen the spear because I did like the power of it. It does do more damage than a regular wooden one, but you do have to make a wooden spear as part of the tutorial. So I'm going with the spear and the knife, but I recommend you go with the axe and the knife. The food won't be a problem, you can survive off of crabs, and it's pretty quick and easy to start making the medicine you need in case you get infected. The flint is okay, you do have to start fires quite a lot, so it might be a consideration, but it's easy enough to get tinder and wood or repair your fire starter. So yeah, go for either the knife for sure, and then the axe or the spear. And oh yeah, the fishing rod, nah, you can create a harpoon, or you can just live off the land rather than sea. It's a pretty comprehensive tutorial, but as always, gather everything that you see. That's a basic of all survival games until you're pretty much overweight. Then you need to find a spot where you can dump your stuff or start creating storage. There's plenty of sticks on the beach and maybe this bit of rope, which is super important that you get straight away, as you're going to need that to map out the first area of the map easily. Along the beach, obviously, you'll find food and all this debris that can be broken down with an axe. I wouldn't bother yet, just keep picking up the loose stuff. You don't want anything that's going to take up your time. Remember, every action you do fast forwards time a little bit, whether it's chopping down a tree, harvesting a carcass. That's the kind of stuff you want to avoid in the first couple of days so you get the most out of it. Go ahead and hunt some crabs with your spear. If you didn't choose the spear, then obviously you can just eat some of the coconuts we're going to get in a minute as well, and you should be good. As you can see, it's not worth going and dismantling anything from the trees, as it does take up your precious time. There will be crates along the beach that will have food as well. This should be more than enough to keep you going for the first day or two. In fact, if you keep heading to the left alongside the coast, you'll come across another crate by the cliffs, and then hug the cliff wall on the left and you find another box towards the corner here. This is a good spot, I think, for your first encampment. You can use the crate for continual storage. So follow the tutorial steps, use the crate for some of that storage, dump in the heaviest stuff like the rocks, and then go out and keep foraging along the beach. Grab every coconut, every loose leaf that you can find, and twig. Water can be a difficult one in the first few days, but you get it from the green coconuts. You just need to press, remember, the blueprint button to go ahead and craft it into the coconut water, and you get 30 from each drink. When you've got your food and water above 60 and you sleep, you get an energized buff the next morning and you regen your health. So always try and make sure your food and water is above 60 when you're going to sleep. Only the tallest palm trees will actually have coconuts that you can go ahead and dismantle, so if you need more food and water, then make sure you visit these. Place in your fire and make sure you upgrade it as soon as you can. This unlocks more recipes, especially when we start collecting things like eggs. You'll be able to actually make fried eggs properly and other stuff. Remember, a lot of tools you can repair, like the fire starter, that is something that you can repair with twigs, but you can't always repair other things like a cutting stone. You'll have to just make a new one, but never chuck away any old cutting stones that you have, as these can then be converted into spears later. When it comes to food, it all has a degradation bar, so the longer you leave it, the more chance it's eventually going to go rotten. But as soon as you cook it, it gives it a full bar back. So you can time and take care of your food to last longer in this way, especially when you've cooked and caught new stuff. So don't cook everything in one batch, wait until you absolutely need it and then go ahead and cook it, or before it's about to go rotten. One bonus of having a knife is it can be used as a rudimentary weapon. Does take a bit of getting used to though with the aim. One thing I really like about this game is that you can go ahead and complete lots of tasks, and even if it's part of the tutorial, it will basically say completed once you've got through the bottleneck. So here I needed probably to go ahead and craft a spear, and that stayed on the screen for ages. By the time I eventually got around to crafting the spear, I'd completed a whole bunch of other stuff that I was meant to have done as well. So don't be too scared to go off the beaten track a little bit. If you just want to explore or mess around with stuff, you don't have to do the tutorial absolutely first before doing anything else. Best example of this is to go ahead and use the mapping tree. You can find these cartographer trees all around. This is where you're going to use your rope to get up to it, and then use charcoal that you've made at a fireplace. This reveals lots of icons and places to explore all around the map. There's also birds' eggs in the nest as well, and feathers, so definitely worth that. But click on the map, press map in, and you can see it reveals a portion. Not the whole map, just the area around it. Now you can, of course, use this on any high location. The higher you are, the more that you will reveal. But with the added bonus of getting eggs here, it's definitely worth making sure you hit these as soon as you can, as this will reveal every part of the map if you go up every single tree. Big thing to look out here is the large sticks, which are hidden on the first one that you encounter, as this is the only space where you'll be able to find the large sticks. Somewhat annoyingly, the game only has specific trees for specific things. Some trees will give you small sticks, some will give you long, some will give you large, and some will give you flexible later on. So it's vitally important that you use the map and you absolutely map wherever you get somewhere high or at least trees. With all the leaves that you've been finding, hopefully you've got enough now to go ahead and start crafting your little small armor set, which will basically keep more of the heat off you. And if it is constantly raining when you're about to have a cook up, well, don't worry, you will be able to craft things that will cover the fire so you can cook, or find a cave. That is actually going to be one of your best bets to get a lot of gear and food again early. The tutorial will guide you towards this cave, but it does so after you've gone and done the majority of all the other tasks. You can go ahead and get to this cave much earlier and it definitely help you out. You'll find a big skeleton outside, plenty of coconuts, as well as some more lore. It's important to pick up all this lore and stuff, as it will help out giving you clues and tips about either resources or about how to play the game. Something not immediately clear unless you've checked your skills is that you will get a special ability where you'll be able to see items in the distance and pretty much any objective around you when you use the special sense mode. So we'll come to that in a while. But yeah, go ahead in the cave. As long as you stick to the beach, heading with the water on your right hand side, you won't come into any danger until you get to the cave. Inside you will find scorpions, but these can be taken out with a few throws of your spear. It could definitely be argued you could come straight to this cave with your spear and have a place all ready to go, sleep, and make sure that you've got plenty of time to cook your fire with a fireplace already here. But I do believe the scorpions will eventually respawn, maybe not in a few days, but eventually. And I think there's merits to going ahead and at least exploring the map so you can go up the tree and mark out parts of it first, as well as get the basics done so that when you go to other parts of the island, you know what to do with fires and cooking food and all the rest of it. But here we'll give you pretty much the tutorial done once you've looked at the map a couple of times on the wall and obviously you've gained the Fountain of Life water. Do look at the map twice, it will give you the indication of where you've got to go next to go ahead and proceed the story. You've basically got to get a spyglass and then take it to one of the tallest mountains to go ahead and look for the next region so you can travel to it. It's important to get hold of various different fruits and herbs so that you've got enough to cure any of the things that will affect you. The stuff for indigestion, the stuff for sunburn, the stuff for poisoning, as well as just bog standard grazes and cuts. Bird of Paradise, here you really want the leaves, and this is what you're going to be combining to make all sorts of bandages, so always make sure you get them. You don't necessarily need the flowers as much, as I do believe it's more for tinder or other items, but not really useful right now. And then we're looking for other stuff as well, like hibiscus and anything else that we can use as antidotes. The jojoba gum you can find in the cave, or obviously at the branch where you see the big branch icon on the map, and this is good for helping you re-heal over time when you get enough of the big leaves. When you get back to your campfire, this is where you can go ahead and craft some of the new healing items you've got. It shouldn't be too hard to find eucalyptus as well as chamomile now as well, since you've got the map unlocked. So do make sure you've crafted at least one of every type of bandage to help with each affliction as soon as they're able to, and always have one of them available inside your chest at your base. Obviously having indigestion or maybe leading to diarrhea will mean that you'll need to drink more, so it's important to stay on top of that stuff. With all the big leaves that you probably got from some of them bird of prey flowers and maybe some other bushes near the cliff and cave, you'll hopefully have enough now, like I said, to get your armour, but more importantly you need to get the backpack. You will be able to get better ones later on, but for now this is the next best thing and will increase a little bit of about how much you can carry. When it comes to combat, you really should aim at throwing the majority of your weapons like these to get in first hit, and then hopefully try and get your spear back, maybe to finish them off, but they can run away with it inside them, so be careful. Luckily I had the knife as well, which meant I could take care of this boar. If you're crouched down, you can surprise and stealth kill a lot of creatures, but yeah, you got to just make sure you can see them first. One of the biggest killers is the snakes. They tend to rattle quite loudly, but it's surprisingly how quickly they can jump up at you when you get close. Particularly with the iron spear, one shot pretty much does most of the creatures that you come across initially. Don't go ahead and harvest any of these just yet. Focus on getting the other resources like the large branches or some of the stuff that you're going to be making the healing bandages out of. Carcasses will last about a day, maybe two, before they disintegrate into basically carcass bones, so you've got a bit of time that you can come back and forth if you're too heavy or you only want to harvest a few things from each carcass. And while lots of stuff will have uses, like some of the meats to cook and stuff, some of the items that you get from the dead bodies you really don't need to waste your durability on, like trophies. So manage your time accordingly, only take what you really need when you're going to get a resource. Try not to carve and gather everything because it really just will into eating your weapons, and then you create a cycle where you're just repairing your weapons and finding resources to do so rather than progressing and making new items. A few other things to consider when you do go to upgrade something: make sure it's not in use. Things like a fire, don't make sure it's lit and then you decide to upgrade it, as it kills the fire and you have to restart it again. Some food items of course are going to give you some food, but some of them only give you a tiny amount and give you a lot more indigestion or just straight up poison, so be careful, don't assume everything's just okay to eat. You won't need to worry about base building straight away. I would actually focus on getting better weapons, so upgraded axe, and making sure you've got a good supply of food and you've got some of the resources that you need, like the large sticks and long sticks. Build yourself some storage for sure, but again, don't go too mad. You don't have to be searching around for the small sticks or breaking down logs and stuff just to get them. And there's a whole variety of crafting benches that you can go ahead and craft, but I would say focus on getting the raft. You really do want to follow the tutorial and the story loops of trying to find the telescope and then getting to the top of the mountain to reveal the next location. But getting a raft means you can travel around the island pretty safe as well. You get a lot of durability, especially if you upgrade the raft somewhat as well. So make sure you get the upgrade that gives you some storage on it. Effectively, once the ship runs out of its durability, it will need repairing and you need a special repairing item to do so. But you can make a lot of trips with your raft, especially like I said, if you upgrade it to the next level. So once you've gone ahead and crafted the normal workbench, then you go ahead and get the carpentry bench and work towards the tannery rack as well, as you need all of them to go ahead and craft the raft. There's not a whole lot of things like copper on this original island, so if you're wondering why you can't get certain resources, you are going to have to go to the next region to get even more better stuff. So it's definitely worth pointing out that that won't happen until you get the spyglass and then obviously take a good look towards the next region and unlock it. The story and the tutorial does a good job of guiding you there pretty much, but there are some more bog standard tips. Investigate every ruin that you come across. To progress to another region, you're going to need certain map parts, either from your crewmates or from the ancients, or you're going to need the best ship available, which I don't think you can craft until much later. So yes, it's pretty easy to find the ancient map parts if you go and check out a lot of the ruins that you'll come across on the island. Effectively, this is how you fast travel to the next region. You can, like I said, go and explore some of the other smaller islands, but there's one particular that you will be directed to in the north, and that's part of the story. So don't bother going to that one ahead of time. Wait until the story beat kind of guides you there. If you're not mapping the islands correctly, you'll miss out on knowing where stuff is, like bamboo. Although there are some tooltips when you start the game that give you hints and guides about some of this stuff. So try and be really focused. When you go and foraging and you need stone, then try and head to 2 or 3 places and only pick up stone. Problems will start happening that you've got too much in your inventory if you're just gathering absolutely everything. That's okay at the very start of the game, but not as you progress, or you just will be spending a lot of time in your inventory deciding what you can throw, eat, or just get rid of. Water carriers are important, so you don't obviously die of thirst, but be careful, as if they're not used enough quickly, the water does drain from the first one that you unlock. If you go up to the top of the mountain and find the bamboo, that's how you can craft a water carrier, so that's probably your best bet as well, and making sure you use up some of the natural water points that you'll find to make sure you're full up. The other big resource I had problems with was the liana rope. And again, this was because I wasn't mapping adequately all the places on the map and revealing exactly where stuff was. Even when icons are greyed out, so you haven't actually found that item yet, it does tell you what the item is or where you can at least find it. So pay attention and use that constantly to check where you're going is the right place. A lot of the places that you'll find may require you to put something together like a mural or find a certain object to go ahead and get the perk point associated with it. So this viewpoint here on this hill, I had to find the different pieces of the tablets to go ahead and repair it. And these were pretty much all scattered in and around the area. But another reason why you shouldn't really ignore this stuff is the perk points associated with it. You naturally get better at stuff the more you do it, but then you've got the specific perk points that give you bonuses. With the passive buffs, it's important to get more experience, so I would absolutely go through the learning stage first. At least levels 1 and 2. Level 3 just gives you an increase in reading books a bit quicker. I don't think that's as important, but then definitely go down the learning tree first. Then I'd probably get the one to do with the ailments and poisons or afflictions, especially to help with indigestion, as that seems to be one of the leading causes of causing me issues like diarrhea, meaning I need to drink more. And then after that, it's really your preference, but food, water, I would focus on as well, as they'll all give you extra benefits of getting more out of what you drink and eat. A really sort of late game tip, and maybe a bit of a spoiler, as this is the only other region available in early access at the moment, but eventually once you've done everything you need to do with the story and you're ready to sail to the next region, there is going to be a selection of the crafting benches that you've already probably unlocked here, which I really liked. You'll find a camp and it will have a carpentry bench, it'll have a workbench and a few other things. So don't dismantle anything just before you leave or have any real reason to go anywhere. You will be going back and forth, as you might find it easier to get resources from the first region and stuff, or you may have your main base built there, who knows. But just a really nice touch to know that there is going to be more crafting options, so you won't have to bring absolutely everything with you when you sail away, just the essentials to go ahead and craft. And there we go, there's so much more I want to talk about. I'm going to be doing a lot more little guides. I'm really enjoying this game, but hopefully that's give you a sense of what to expect, or if you have any problems. Any top tips, leave it in the comment section down below, and as always, for the best in survival games, news, guides, gameplay and more, I'll see you at Bags later.